Hello everyone, Robert Saunders here, and real quick, I wanted to put together a video of about 3 or 4 of my other videos and stitch it all together here to explain this process flow on the screen. We're going to review a 4-node VMware cluster that we have deployed. I'm actually going to remove a node from that VMware ecosystem. I'm then going to use the node restore blueprint against that removed node to wipe it, clean it up, set it back to factory defaults. And then I'm going to add that node to an existing Red Hat cluster. Basically the repurposing story of the Dell Automation Platform, or Dell Private Cloud, brought to you by the Dell Automation Platform. So here we are, we see 4 nodes in a vSphere cluster. If you've seen this demo before, you're probably pretty familiar with it, but I've cut it into smaller sections here. So there's the H0P asset that we have, and I'll order by provisioning state, and there it is provisioned from the view of the portal. There it is there, the actual 7th node, and now I'm going to remove that node from the VMware ecosystem, meaning I'm going to use a separate blueprint to take that node out of that vSphere cluster. So there it is there, H0P again. So what am I going to do? I'm going to run a blueprint here to take that node, the node removal for VMware. So it's going to go out to the cluster based on some parameters of a pre-configured JSON file that I have. It's going to go to that cluster and it's going to drain the node and pull it out of the cluster. So I'll go to my pre-configured attributes here and I'll populate them very quickly into the deployment. I can edit there again if I want to from previous demos. Click deploy. It's going to go off and do its install for a node removal. I can watch the progress here. Again, monitor the logging, everything along this whole workflow here. Super easy to do, and I can also pull the logs down anytime. Let's watch it there. 7 gets removed and it's gone. From a vSphere perspective, it's exactly what I wanted to happen. The node removal is now complete. Now that node right there is sitting in a ready for provisioning state. I'm not quite done. Now I want to actually scrub it, get all the VMware bits off of it and set it back to a factory PowerEdge. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do a node restore blueprint against that removed node. So let's jump into the node restore demo. So there it is. It's actually in a disconnected state. Oddly, it came back disconnected. I don't care. We're going to fix that. So I'm going to browse to the node restore blueprint, and I can use this for any ecosystem. It could be VMware or Red Hat. It's the same node restore process against an existing PowerEdge. I'm picking the one from OpenShift there. Again, I'll provide the required parameters. I have a lot of this stored actually in a JSON file, but for this here, all I have to do is check the box, and then the 3 boxes below there, ignore the state, reset the BIOS, and most importantly, wipe the operating system and all the data from any of the disks that may exist on that node. It'll get back to Pixie Boot. I'll click deploy, and off we go. So now I can monitor this node restore process. This one takes a little longer. This will take a half hour, 45 minutes to actually complete all of these steps here. 8 steps for the fully automated node restore. It goes through the hardware checking. You can see the logging if you want to monitor there. Monitor real time if you'd like. Just click on the circles. I pulled up the console here from the iDRAC just so you can see what's going on. The boss config, wiping the nodes, and then pretty much the job is complete after about 40-45 minutes. Workflow complete. Now finally, I had the node in a vSphere cluster. I pulled it out. I did a node restore. There it is back in the free pool, H0P 7x74, ready for provisioning. Right there. Now, I'm going to, the 4th step of this repurpose process, I'm actually going to add it back to a Red Hat cluster from VMware to Red Hat with the exact same service tag. It's wiped, connected, and ready for provisioning. So let's go to the 4th and final step here, which is add a node to an existing Red Hat cluster. I'm repurposing this node from VMware to Red Hat. I can do this with any of my ecosystems. Doesn't have to be just those 2, but for right now, that's what we have. Same service tag again. It's ready for provisioning. So now that same node, there it is. I can drill into the details, but I'm going to go to the blueprints here because I want to add it to my existing Red Hat cluster. Again, populate the parameters, very easy to do. If you have it all set up with the JSON, which I always do, I simply browse to it and load it in. If I need to update any of the attributes at the time of this, adding the configuration here, I absolutely can do that. I can edit any of these steps at any time if I'd like, and it sticks with that deployment, which is super nice and super powerful. Of course, the license here, the license to add the node, and then I'm going to click deploy, which is right above my head up here. Off it goes. Install pending, it goes to installing. Again, we're going to monitor the execution graph here. We go through all the steps, except we're just doing one node here instead of three when we originally built the cluster. So I don't have to create a new cluster. We're just adding a node to an existing. I'm going to pop up the console here from the iDRAC just so you can see RHEL installing here in a moment. Of course, the BIOS and firmware first have to get set back to factory. Make sure everything's good there. We'll let this continue on. Again, this node add process here takes about an hour and a half. But I've fast forwarded it up just so you can see how easy this process here is. So here's the imaging started of the RHEL OS, and then it's going to add to the cluster, going off to the existing cluster. Then quickly some cleanup steps. It's also going to add to the power store there. I'm adding, if I filter by the CSI node, which is what it looks like when it lands in the power store, there's my fourth one added to our as a host for storage. Awesome to see. And then a little bit of cleanup here. And let's jump over to the OpenShift console and we'll see this fourth node here just in a second. And we see this is all done here. Now we can review if we would like over in OpenShift. But first, let's take a look. There it is, added to the cluster from an orchestrator perspective. It's online, it's provisioned, it's part of the private cloud ecosystem for Red Hat OpenShift. Went from 3 to 4 there. We see there it is. There's the fourth one right on the top. 04 dappdemo.lab. It's added as a worker node because we had 3 from our original cluster as control planes spread across the first 3 nodes. And now the fourth node is in the inventory. Perfect. How easy was that? Thank you for watching Node Repurposing Dell Automation Platform. Thank you.